The chief of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Dr. R.K. Pachauri, has asked the coastal states to fix their infrastructure to cope with the rise in the sea level, a phenomenon that is likely to continue for centuries. Mr. Pachauri said that the sea level rise could not be controlled now with the measures like reduction in emission of greenhouse gases because the inertia has set in the climate change.
One of the aspects of the impacts of climate change that we have to be sensitive to, and we certainly have to adapt to. Because even if we were to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases, which contribute to human-induced climate change drastically today, there is so much inertia in the system that sea level rise will continue, not just for decades, but perhaps centuries. And therefore, those areas which are fragile, those areas which are low-lying and have very sensitive ecosystems need to be protected. And there's a whole range of things that can be done to protect those areas. But the first thing that we need to do is to ensure that zoning laws are properly enforced. We need to set up some infrastructure. The example of a country which has a large part below sea level is that of the Netherlands. And the Netherlands today, incidentally, is investing in strengthening and increasing the height of the dikes that they have.
Mr. Pachauri was speaking on Wednesday at the 4th Vasudeva V. Sinai Dempo Memorial Lecture in memory of renowned Goan industrialist organized by Vasantrao Dempo Education and Research Foundation. Trustees of the foundation, Srinivas Dempo, Pallavi Dempo and Advocate Manohar Usgaonkar. Former Chief Minister Shashikala Kakodkar, Chairperson of Bal Bhavan Vijaya Devi Rane and other distinguished guests were present on the occasion. IPCC Chief, who also is a Director General on the Energy and Resources Institute, said that a state like Goa should pull up their sleeves to face the after effects of climate change.
Move ahead with what we regard as economic development, to keep clearly in mind the fact that development has to take place on the strength and on the conservation of natural resources. This, unfortunately, is a reality that human society has neglected far more than it has observed. And it is just timely on our part to sit back and reflect and see whether we need to bring about some changes that perhaps will correct this situation.
Insisting that the zoning laws needs to be properly enforced, Mr. Pachauri said that this would help us save lives and properties of people. Mr. Pachauri said that excessive tourism, mining and shipping has left its footprints on a state like Goa.
Goa, being what it is, and being in a sense a very fragile state, because it's a coastal state, it is subject to a large amount of tourism. It's an area which is not very extensive, and therefore anything that happens over here is clearly visible, is tangible, and therefore needs to be looked at in terms of its totality of impact.
The IPCC chief said that Goa needed to do detailed assessment of what sea level rise could do for the state, which was geographically small. Citing the floods that hit state's southernmost Kankon Taluka in October last year, Mr. Pachauri said that climate changes has resulted in the extreme events.
But it's obvious that these are going to increase in frequency and intensity. We also know that in tropical areas, cyclones are likely to become much more intense and much more frequent. You know the example of what happened in, was it April of 2008 in Myanmar when Cyclone Nargis hit that country, and supposedly over 100,000 people died as a result. The number was actually substantially higher.
The internationally renowned scientists appealed to the government to have a relook at their economic growth. He said that the model like Bhutan, where GDP is replaced with gross national happiness, should be emulated by other nations.
In a federal structure like India, it's not only enough to think of these concepts at the level of the national statistics that are compiled in New Delhi, but this has to start with the states themselves. I think a beginning should be made by the state of Goa.